I want to introduce a brand new idea to you simpleton peons. Okay, so this is something for the elite and for high minds, high IQ people. Okay, so if you get lost while I'm explaining this, that's understandable. I'm not imagining a lot of you are going to understand what I'm about to tell you. With that being said, I would like to introduce you guys to jerking it while driving. Now, this is something that I've attempted 5 times, finishing 3 times. It's a complicated process, quite frankly, and I'm not even lying. I have been driving down the road, okay, and for legal reasons, this is a joke because it's illegal. I have been driving down the road, and I'll put my. And this is how you know I'm not kidding. I'm going to describe in detail how I did it one time. Okay, so I was on a back road, and I made sure there were no cars around me, right? Because it's kind of weird, right? Especially if you're in a non-tented car, they can kind of just look in, and maybe they'll see, and then that's illegal. And you can low key be put on a registry. I can't say the word. You know what word I'm saying. Sorry, the part of my brain that says words is taken up by my part of the brain that allows me to be able to understand this complex issue because I'm so fucking intelligent. So I was going down a country road where it was not busy at all. There were 0 cars the whole time. I turned my cruise control on 35 and I turned lane assist on. Okay, so I'm just barely moving, and you can't like use material, right? So if you're gonna do this, I strongly advise. Actually, I advise you not to do this first off, because this is a joke. This didn't happen. Wink, wink. If you have to replicate this, make sure you don't have any material, okay? Because then that's seriously in danger. I mean, it's dangerous to begin with, but it's a hypothetical. It's not a real thing. Yeah, don't use material, but just think of something for me. I thought of my girlfriend. And I was just moving along and going real slow, 35 miles an hour. And, I don't know, pretend it sounded like that. I don't know. I do it dry, so it really sounds like nothing. If you're not doing it drive, if you need moisturization to get it done, you're a pussy. And, yeah, I don't understand why you would use a liquid. I used to use soap when I was really young, and some of it got into the end of it one time, and I was in the bathroom at school, and my my snake was peeling. Literally, it had skin coming off of it because I got some soap in the end. I don't know what happened there. I thought that was normal for like my whole life. I thought that just happened to everybody because recently in a class I'd learned about like snakes shedding their skin. I was like, okay, that's pretty normal. And I mean like actual snakes in that instance. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's probably similar. Keep in mind, I was in like 3rd grade, right? No, I was in 1st grade. No, I wasn't in 1st grade. I was in 4th grade. Sorry. Good God, 1st grade would be insane. 4th grade is already crazy enough. So I just assumed that it was normal. And I was like, all right, no biggie. No biggie. I've seen this one in the book before. Keep in mind, those books, don't believe too much of what's written in history books. Obviously, don't be a complete conspiracy theorist, okay? Apparently, there is a conspiracy theory, okay? In YouTube, I'm not spreading any sort of misinformation or hate. I'm simply saying what exists. They believe in this civilization, and I may be pissing people off right now. It seems like a pretty popular opinion. I ended up on the side of Instagram that believes in this one night, and it's insane. I don't know. It just doesn't really make sense. Some of their points kind of make sense. So they believe in this civilization that was called Tartar or some shit. And apparently they existed before us. And then at some point, the New World Order took over and they got rid of that whole civilization. And then, but they kept all the buildings, and apparently there was a big mudslide. That is one of the huge points of this conspiracy theory. And you know what? I can't 100% say it didn't happen, okay? But it most likely did not happen. Apparently, there is a big mudslide. And I don't mean to offend anybody. If you believe in that, that's fine. I mean, I believe in crazier shit, right? Sorry to cut in here, but I got a couple of things I want to ask you guys to do. May you please like the video. It really helps the channel. May you please consider subscribing if you're not already. You use your hype points on this video. And also check out my second channel. Link is in the description. I believe in just stupid shit that most people don't. So we all believe in stupid shit. So it's okay if you do. Because it's a huge section of the internet that believes there's a huge mudslide that took out this advanced civilization, but then some of the buildings were left over from the mudslide. But the buildings that we currently... How did I make it? How did I make it? That person gave up, and they let me have it. I'll take it, though. That's a gift from God right there. That's because I'm denying the very obviously real conspiracy theory about the civilization of Tortor. Okay, so these mudslides came in, and they filled in most of the... Apparently, these buildings that we're looking at, right? So go look at your courthouse. They allege that the people of this civilization built that. And apparently, that's only the tip of the building. And the mudslide is covering the rest of it. Once again, I'm not shitting on you if you believe in this. I haven't learned a lot about it. Another big point of this conspiracy theory is something known as the Cabbage Patch Kids. Where they took a bunch of babies, and then they cloned them, and then apparently there's these things known as Cabbage Patch Kids, and because... Okay, so the Cabbage Patch Kids that we have are the little, like, toys, right? The people in this conspiracy theory believe that the real Cabbage Patch Kids, the toys, are there to mock us and make fun of us for not believing in real Cabbage Patch Kids, which are apparently a group of mindless children that were just re-put into the world after they had their memory wiped of the civilization of the place. I'm going to quit saying it. I feel like YouTube might be mad about that, even though I think it's ludicrous. I'm simply just bringing it up. I in no way am endorsing this. Please do not, go harm your local politician and be like, I demand the release of the files of the Tortor civilization. Please don't go do that. Please do. A lot of times I use sarcasm. Don't do that. Seriously, don't do that. Because it's probably a bunch of malarkey. But I'm not going to 100% deny it. I don't know. I mean, it seems fucking crazy, but crazier shit has happened, right? And maybe not crazier than that. I don't think that's really possible, but who knows? You know what I mean? And part of this theory, it's very popular. I may be spouting, commonly known knowledge. Half of the population might believe in this, dude. I've seen fucking reels that have hundreds of thousands of likes about this. What the fuck, dude? Some people just need to get off the internet. Some people need to get off Facebook. And it's all AI-generated voices and shit. And I understand that doesn't instantly discredit something, but it's okay, it's slop. It's slop for uneducated people. And I wasn't paid off by anybody. I'm not paid off by the I don't know if this shit's true. It's probably not. I don't believe in Cabbage Patch Kids coming in on trains. That's another big part. Apparently, these Cabbage Patch Kids were delivered on a train after they had their mind wiped. And they also, the way they came to be was by being... The reason they're called Cabbage Patch Kids is because they were developed inside of a cabbage. And then the cabbage bloomed, and out comes the baby. I don't know. But, the only thing that I would give some thought in that whole thing, not the Cabbage Patch train kids or whatever. I don't buy into that. But the only thing that is kind of compelling about that whole thing is, the ancient buildings. Because today, I was out there looking at some fucking buildings that are huge, and they were built in the timeline where the world was still the one civilization. So this would have been one of the buildings that was affected by the mudslide. And it's a pretty grand building. Go look at your local courthouse. As long as it was built before 1910. Apparently that's when this Great Reset happened. It's around that time. It's late 1800s, early 1900s, some shit like that. And some of them are pretty damn marvelous, and we don't really build shit like that anymore. I think it's because designs have changed, and now we're just building fucking squares. But then again, you would think at least once recently they would build one of these grand-ass buildings, and I don't feel like they have. That's the only thing that's compelling, but I think it's simply just changing design philosophies, and I don't think it's something that needs to seriously be looked into. Jacking it in your car is a real thing, okay? Not that I participate, nor do I advise doing it. Yeah, I have in Minecraft attempted it 5 times, and I've done it 3 times. Okay, so it's a complicated thing though, because you got to sit there and worry about cars potentially seeing you. You got to worry about driving still. There's a lot to think about while you're doing it, and while you're sitting here worrying about cars, you're still driving, and all this other shit, all these other distractions, all the road noise, shit like that. You got to sit there and try to think of something to that will excite you. It's a very complicated process, and once again, don't attempt it. But it should almost be like a sport or some sort of. There should be like a group. You know how they have like bikers and shit, and they be riding bikes. There should be a group of carjackers. No, what? Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I'm saying carjacking, by the way, YouTube, I mean like people who rob cars. That's an allowed topic. So yeah, there should be a group of people who jack in their car, because that would be it's a complicated thing, and I think it still needs to be developed upon. I was talking about it with my friend the other day, and I was talking to him about it, and he says he has the audacity to say to me about this thing that takes a lot of skill. Okay, he says, no, I would rather just listen to music or a podcast or some shit. I've never been that bored in my car. But as a man that I drive a lot, and one of my jobs, one of my little hobbies or whatever the fuck, one of the things that makes me money, I drive a lot to do it. Like I am pretty much working all day, every day out of my car. Essentially, I'm not selling juices at the flea market. I want to clarify, I'm doing something a little more dignified than that. Anyways, I am in my car a lot, and sometimes I'm like, damn, bro, I've been in this car for 6 hours now. I'm kind of bored, you know what I mean? Let me carjack real quick. And I'll do that, and I end up with another car, wink, wink, and then I have to, get get the oil out of my car. You catch my drift here. I pump my oil because I'm bored. And so much of my life is spent in that car, I don't have much time to do it at home because I'm not at home much. So I got to do it. And another complicated thing that definitely needs refining is when you finally get done changing your oil and the oil gets everywhere, and you don't want it everywhere, right? I mean, you don't want sticky hands and sticky manifolds, legs. So we need a better way to catch it, because you got to take both hands off the wheel of your car while you're doing the oil change to fix it or to catch it. And that's such a problem, because you can't take both your hands off the wheel, because then you might crash. There is so much risk and reward when it comes to carjacking. There seriously is, and I think there needs to be a group, maybe a Reddit. Can we get a subreddit about car? There definitely is, dude. There are loser ass people on the internet. There's a whole community. I simply just haven't found them yet. There is a whole 3,000 member community, and they're all white people. I will give other races that. Okay, so a lot of the other races' arguments have to do with white people being weird as fuck. Yeah, we are the weird ones. I'll be honest. We are the weirdest people. That's for sure. Okay? Now, when it comes to like crime and all that, I don't think so, but we definitely are the weirdest people. Speaking of that, I think Trump banning immigration from certain places is not a bad deal. To be honest with you, we don't want some of these people. And I can't talk about it, but specifically a lot of the desert people. Let's be honest. Look at what they're doing in Britain and France. Okay, so this statement that I just made comes off as very anti-immigration and very anti-immigrant. First off, I love Mexicans. I love Mexicans so much. I think they're the best ones. And to be honest with you, I don't think an open border is necessary. Okay, because still, you get some bad ones coming in every now and again. But Mexico should be like our biggest ally after we get rid of the cartels. We got to get rid of the cartels first, though. Let's be honest. They got to go. They really got to go. And that big nose prime minister's got to go, too. She's directly allowing this shit to happen. The cartels have got to go. And then after that, I think Mexico should be our biggest ally. I love Mexican people, bro. Okay. I just do. I've always been best friends with Mexican people, and it's because they're chill, they're down to earth, they're they just got good culture, they got good food. I love Mexican people. Okay, so first off, I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti like too much immigration, and what I mean by that is a big idea within immigration is that you get a country that's very culturally diverse. That is true, and that's a good thing. I mean, you look at certain areas of the country, I don't know, New York, shit like that. I mean, you got so many different types of people, and you got so many communities where people feel safe around their own people and shit like that. That's great. I'm glad that we're very culturally diverse. At a certain point, bringing in too much people doesn't lead to culture growth. It leads to culture loss, right? Because we are American, and we do have a culture. Okay, Americans do have a culture. I don't know. I think people argue against that, but really, we do act distinctly. Okay, and if you let too many people into a community at once, you start losing that culture, and then it slowly becomes whatever culture they came from. And you would say, "Oh, that sounds racist. That's a problem." No, we have a set culture, and I think allowing people to come over here drip drop, not drip drop, but just if they come over here right and they learn a little bit about the US before, I think there will be much less culture loss. We can't just lose a whole area just because we want to let 100,000 people come in from a place that's a billion miles away, right? How do those residents feel that now, their neighborhood that was once completely one way? I'm not even saying like a neighborhood that was completely one color. I don't care about that shit. I've always lived in culturally diverse neighborhoods, and I'm not worried about that. I've lived around all types of people, and that's fine, to be honest with you. And where I'm looking to move, it isn't all one color. I'm not I'm not trying to be racist at all in this statement. But how do you think that neighborhood feels now that their neighborhood, they're going to start opening up fucking shops that sell, like, they're just going to start changing the area into the country they came from. First off, they're complaining about the country they came from. Why are you coming here and making it the same way? Pollution, I imagine pollution goes way up because in their culture, in these places' cultures, they're just way different. Go look at a huge city in one of these places where they're coming from. It is way different than our cities. Our cities suck, but those cities suck ass. I just think that too much immigration, once again, leads to culture loss and not culture growth. I think these people should be allowed into the country, right? That's what we're all about. But I think it needs to be done legally, and they need to learn a little bit about the country so they can respect the neighborhoods that they're going into and respect the people that they're going to live near. Because inherently, they're not trying to be disrespectful. That's just their culture. And over there, we would be considered disrespectful if we tried to live the way we did. But you got to respect the culture of where you're going, and you got to be able to, change a little bit about yourself. You don't have to come over and act the exact same because you're not going to the same area. It's a completely different area with different rules and shit like that. And there's a weird thing going on in Britain and France, and I got to be very careful when talking about this because I don't know, it's terrible when you bring up statistics or whatever. There has been a very sharp rise in assaults on women. I'm not directly blaming the people that are coming, but to be honest, they're the ones doing it, right? It's because in their culture, if a woman dresses just a little provocatively, once again, in the West, we dress way different than in the Middle East, right? I mean, women are allowed to wear whatever. In their culture, that means, hey, they're wanting to get it. You know what I mean? And then that's how you just end up with more because they didn't learn shit about the culture. They were just fucking pumped in there and it completely fucked everything. You got to educate people that you're bringing in, and you can't just bring them in by the boatload. You also got to do background checks. Make sure this person should be here. Make sure this person isn't part of a cartel. Make sure this person isn't part of a goddamn terrorist organization. So once again, with that, that could be spun horribly. You could say, oh, you're a terrible racist and you're anti people that aren't white. Not the case at all. And that's not what I'm trying to get at. I am pro-immigration because I think that's a big reason why America is so great, right? We're all immigrants. That's the whole idea of America. It's a bunch of not rejects, but it's a bunch of people who wanted freedom, by getting away from terrible governments such as even though the English government isn't as bad as some of these places these people are coming from. But it's what America was founded upon, is a bunch of people coming together and trying to have a better life than where they came from. And I can respect people wanting to have a better life, but you got to learn about the place you're going to. You've got to change a little bit about yourself. You can't just come over here and be the same exact person and expect that to fly. And I mean like practices and the way you interact with people as well. Just shit like that. Like, it's just different in every place. If I go to Somalia, first off, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. But if I went to Somalia, I would want to know a little bit about the cultures and norms and shit like that, so I'm not disrespecting people. I wouldn't want to just come in and try to act the exact same, right? Because in America, I'm disrespectful as fuck. And I just know that that's okay, because what are they going to do about it? You know what I mean? You do that in certain countries, you get your head chopped off. You got to learn about where you're going, especially if you're living there. Even if I were to go somewhere on a vacation, I'd want to know about the cultural differences so I don't fuck up. You know what I mean? So I don't go in public in Malaysia, and this is something they do, and I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? That's what the people picked over there. In Malaysia, or some of these Asian countries, I don't know, it might not be Malaysia specifically, but it's one of them. It's like a bunch of them over there. If you are acting a fool in public, they will arrest your ass. Like, if you start getting too loud, or, you know, you cause a scene or whatever, they will arrest the fuck out of you and put you in jail. I would want to know that before I go there. If I'm coming to America, I would want to know it's not okay to pollute. I would want to know that just because a woman is wearing short shorts doesn't mean that I have free game. I would want to know these things. Once again, we're not doing that. We're letting them in by the boatloads. And this goes for the whole Western world, right? The whole, like, first world country idea bullshit. So I don't think it's a terrible thing that he is limiting access from certain countries, because they've got to learn before they come here, instead of, you know, spreading certain ideas that they have that are just not, they don't work over here. They may work there, and that's fine, because that's what the people picked. But here, it's different. We don't have festivals in the streets fucking skinning animals alive. We don't do that. You know, we just don't do that. It's just different here. This video is probably going to be taken down, I would imagine. Maybe at this point, who fucking knows? Even though, once again, I'm not attacking any cultures. I'm simply saying that if you're going to go to a country, please learn a little bit about that place before you go. And once again, I am pro-immigration. I am pro-right immigration. Not just, hey, fuck it, let everybody in, and let's not do background checks. I want to make a big statement against ICE. I think they are quite literally brown shirts. Does that mean that everything they do is wrong? Not necessarily, but the way they go about it. I mean, they're pulling up on people and just jumping them. You know what I mean? They're pulling up with busted headlights in a government-issued vehicle. They're yelling at people, "Hey, who are you? You know, who the fuck are you? Come the fuck here!" Like, that's not right. You know what I mean? That's brown shirts. You know what I mean? We've seen that one in 1940s Germany, 1930s Germany before. Okay, that's brown shirts, and that's a private presidential, like, military. That's his military. And we shouldn't have that. We shouldn't have that at all. Sometimes, you know, they do be grabbing bad people, and that doesn't justify everything else they do. That just goes to show that maybe the people that, you know, some of the people that they're getting, maybe they shouldn't even be here. Maybe we should have done a background check and once again figured out that they're affiliated with the cartels. Or they're affiliated with some terrorist organization or something. You know what I mean? Once again, a very, very big statement against ICE. I think they're going about it the wrong way. And they are quite literally a private presidential military. And that's illegal. That's bad. They're brown shirts. Okay? They are brown shirts. But yes, I mean, I would like to protect the culture we have. I don't want our culture to completely change because we're taking in a bunch of people that are running from tyrannical, terrible governments and then coming over here and trying to instate the same shit. And then you look at Minneapolis, we got people doing insane levels of government fraud and lying about disabilities with kids. And that's alleged, but not really alleged because it's been, like, proven. Like, you know, there can't be that many kids with autism. And I'm not saying that's been proven. I'm just saying that in my mind, that proves that it probably is a bunch of fraud. You got to get the right ones, you know what I mean? Because Mexico, I'm sure they want Americans to come, but then again, they don't want Ted Bundy to come. They don't want fucking Al Capone down there. And that's who they don't want Tony Soprano in Mexico. Okay, they would say no to him, but they would take Al Bundy or no, I don't know. Who's a normal white dude on television? They would take the normal ones, the ones that want to come there just because they want to live there. They don't want the criminal people that are going to come and just Mexico wouldn't give a shit. So that's a bad example. I don't know. And I can't even say Canada either. I don't know. Say, I don't know, Poland. There you go. There's an example. They don't want the criminals from places, but instead they just take zero. Which, to be honest with you, that's what the people voted for. That's what they want. You shouldn't condemn a country because that's what the people want, right? You look at a country that's been historically very anti-immigration, Japan, and they recently got a big influx, and you have people protesting in the streets to get them out because that's what the people want, and that's you got to respect that. You can't get mad, and the European Union tries to get mad at Poland for not allowing immigrants in. Why? It is their policy. They picked it. In the places where socialism and communism have historically been, it was not picked by the people. Okay, and you could look at Vietnam. Vietnam was not really, it was either communism or another terrible government. They didn't really have real choices, to be honest with you. And you can look at, they obviously didn't do well after the war, you know? Like Vietnam has not become like Japan. Japan has become like a world power, while Vietnam has remained probably very rural, and I don't even really think they're communists anymore. You see, that goes to show you that they've slowly gotten away from their ideals of communism. What I'm saying here is most cases of communism, especially like pure communism, is always force. The people of the Soviet Union did not vote for Stalin to be in there. He took it. Well, I'm not saying Stalin took it by force, but the Reds took it by force against the whites, and the whites were even worse, or whatever. But you see what I'm saying? It wasn't a government where people voted. Or if they did vote, it was fake, like how in Russia currently is. It's a fake election. In China, it's a fake election. The people didn't really pick it. They were just kind of forced into it, right? And you got people, here's my last talking point. You got people like Mr. Piker on the internet, and I really, really disagree with him, and I think he is an agent. I don't think he is a serious person. A lot of the shit he does, it just seems like he's trying to stir up bullshit. Because sometimes he just does it. He's not thinking clearly. This isn't me purely attacking him because of his different political opinions. But like the other day, he could have been joking, but this is a terrible joke to make if you are someone that people take serious as a political person. You can't make jokes like this if you are. He said at like an event, I think the Zoran Mamadami or whatever the fuck his name is, his party where he got elected or some bullshit, I don't know, something like that. He said in an interview, he was talking about the Soviet Union, and then somehow it came up that the Soviet Union was falling. This is not going to be an exact quote. And he said something along the lines of, oh, unfortunately the USSR fell. They did not pick that government, and they suffered under that government. Name a time when America, besides the shit in the 1700s, because that was kind of different. That was the British doing that, and that was us too. We were really bad to a specific group of people. I will say, I can't say the name. Like, name in current times, we wouldn't allow that to happen again. I just don't think we would allow it to happen. I think we've changed. It was a different time back then. Doesn't excuse it. But you look at, under the Soviet Union, they committed a genocide. They literally did. I mean, you look at the Halterforst or some shit like that. It's when they starved a bunch of Ukrainian people because they sent all the grain to more proper Russia. They literally did that, and that was in modern times. How can you say, unfortunately, that government fell? And he could have been pointing to the end stages of it, but by then everybody had enough. They were done with the goddamn government. As soon as the Soviet Union got a capable leader or a couple capable leaders, the people were just so done with it that they still overthrew it because of its reputation and how bad it had been for them. You cannot say unfortunately to that. That is terrible, and I don't know. I just think that's really bad for somebody that's supposed to be taken serious. I don't know. Who takes them serious? If you can sit there and listen to a stream from that individual, actually like agree with them on something, because I'm sure there's some things me and him agree on or whatever, so not like that, but if you sit there and mind-numbingly agree with everything he says, then I genuinely don't think you're an American. That, or like you are really blind to the world. Because Mr. Piker does not want to live in a neighborhood where next door he has a former Venezuelan mob boss, okay? Across the street, he has a former ISIS member. He doesn't want to live in that neighborhood, so quit preaching to keep, to allow these people in here. And once again, this is not a pro-ICE statement. ICE is terrible. We need an organization that is not a private military, private presidential military army. I find it very hypocritical when women will vote to continue to allow shit like that, and they'll continue to vote for haven cities. But go walk in Minneapolis in the wrong neighborhood. You're going to see the people that you voted to allow in and that you voted to get government benefits. They're going to hog tie your ass, and they are going to never let you see your family again. You're going to end up in a basement hearing foreign languages while you're being fucking, Mr. Piker's got to be some sort of agent, bro, because he's just stirring up chaos and he's saying stupid shit. Like, he's called for the getting rid of landlords in public streets. Like, come on, bro. Yeah, you can disagree with the idea of someone being a landlord, but you can't call for the getting rid of them. And you could say taken out of context. How could that be taken out of context? How could saying unfortunately the Soviet Union fell be taken out of context? And I could be wrong on the whole thing. Who knows? I don't do enough research. Okay, I didn't research this, but I saw a clip of it. It could be fake. I don't know what the fuck's going on, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's got to be some sort of agent. If you agree heavily with the idea of open immigration and allowing whoever in because America's built up of immigrants or it's stolen land or whatever bullshit you want to say, put yourself in the shoes of the people who are in the neighborhood that now have to deal with, once again, former cartel members, former terrorists, people who ideologically completely disagree with you and think that you believing in not their religion makes you like an enemy. Think about that before you vote for your tax dollars to either go to these people to help get these people in the country. Think about that. Think about the people who have to deal with the people that you're voting to get in here, especially if you're rich. I don't know, at a certain point, we gotta, I don't know how you would do this, but the government is really two different sides, right? We got rich people that are able to vote on what happens in poor neighborhoods. Does that even make sense? I don't know. Or, middle-class neighborhoods that are ending up with people that shouldn't be there, but rich people are the ones voting for the funding for this. They're the ones supporting it, but yet they don't have to feel any of the consequences. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know how you would break it up, but maybe there should be like two different forms of government. But once again, I guess the people that are in these neighborhoods also have a say. But then again, I mean, at the end of the day, the people they're voting for are funded by these rich people. So even if they voted for this person that they think was going to be pro them, they're just going to end up having whatever agenda the lobbies that are behind them have, right? So really, do we even get a choice, or is it just what the rich people want nowadays? I think it's just what the rich people want nowadays, and they want a bunch of terrorists and a bunch of cartel members in your neighborhood, and they want people who are going to kidnap your daughter because she was wearing booty shorts in your neighborhood. So, and you get to have no say about that. You don't get to vote who gets government housing in your neighborhood. You don't get to vote who the landlords across the street put in there. They don't care who they put in there. It's whoever the government gives them. I don't know, man. And this isn't like anti-landlord. I don't give a shit. I want to be a landlord one day, bro. I want to be in this predicament where I'm just shoving people into a neighborhood. 4 different people a year in the same house because they keep violating some fucking agreement in Section 8 or whatever. I don't know how it works. I want to have like a roster of people that I have to keep moving around because everywhere I fucking move them, they just fight with everybody around them. And I have to move them to a different neighborhood every 3 months. That's what I want one day. That's serious. I do want to be a landlord like that one day for real, bro, because government money is the only money that's 100%, right? And Section 8 is 100%, baby. That check hits. It doesn't matter if the toilet don't flush. As long as you fix it within like 2 months or some shit, you'll be all right. You know what I mean? As long as they don't call Section 8 on you, you're chilling, bro. There could be a hole in the goddamn ceiling, and there could be rainstorms coming in. And you know what? If they start complaining, I'll just move them around. I'll move another person that I know doesn't complain into there. I'll have a whole roster of people that I can just move around the city. Me saying that kind of shows that the people in the neighborhoods don't get to choose who's there. The people with all the money do. The landlords, the lobbyists, the politicians that are supposed to be fighting for the little man that are actually bought out by the big man get to choose where these people go. Not the people of the actual community. The people of the community have no say. Really, the only thing you could do to combat this is to arrange where, you know, if a house comes up for sale, you make sure that it gets sold to somebody that you think will culturally kind of align with you. And I'm not calling for segregation at all. I'm not calling for that at all. That's not what I'm calling for. Because once again, I've lived in diverse neighborhoods and I don't have a problem with that. I don't really care. If anything, they're kind of more cool, right? I would hate to live in a place where I go to a Mexican restaurant and it's a bunch of white people working there. I want Mexican people to be working there. And just shit like that, you know what I mean? I don't want my Indian restaurant. I don't want the food being made by fucking white people. And I once again, I think this idea of diversing a neighborhood is not bad. But once you start pumping these people in that shouldn't be there, that the community got no choice, it gets dicey. Anyways, this is a video where we talked about pocket jacking, carjacking. That's what it is, not pocket jacking. We talked about that last video. We talked about carjacking and my stance on immigration. And I'm going to be canceled now because I don't think we should be shoveling in a bunch of people that don't give a shit about our culture. But once again, you can be selective and you can pick the ones that are mentally well, first off, mentally well, or don't have any problems with the place they're going to, because a lot of them do, and people that you know are going to be open to changing the way they act a little and kind of conforming a little bit to the culture that's there. And I'm not talking about completely conforming to the point to where you lose your identity. I mean that you got to change a little bit about yourself so you blend in. But inadvertently, if you change a little bit about yourself, the people that you're moving next to are also going to change a little bit about themselves. And they're going to accommodate for you. If you accommodate for them, they'll accommodate for you. And that's a win, baby. It's been a while since I've got a win. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure we like, subscribe, comment, use your hype points. Also, make sure you check out my second channel. I've been talking about recently, we upload once a week. It's been a while since I've uploaded on there, but I want to record a video tomorrow for it. I think it's going to be a pretty funny video. So yeah, make sure we're looking for that tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.